Call to order the July 21st meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education.
I move we return to public.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mrs. Backo,
Yes.
Mr. Bishad,
Yes.
Mr. Syak,
Yes.
Mr. Clark. Yes. Mrs. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Lembo.
Yes.
Mrs. Stratton.
Yes.
Mrs. Pratt.
Yes.
And Mr. Mack.
Everybody please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance Just want to ask every board member to please, if you speak, please speak into the microphones because we have the fans running on in the back. Hey, Dr. Afano, we have a couple of presentations this evening.
I don't know if the valedictorian and the salutatorian, are they here? I don't see them. Okay, we were going to present to the valedictorian and salutatorian, but I guess our efforts, they may be on vacation. All right, with that, I would ask Ms. Jenkins, you're on.
And just before Ms. Jenkins, I just wanted to remind the board to remember, if you recall, about a month ago, we had requested that Ms. Jenkins come to a Board of Education meeting to brief us on the food services program within the district, what her vision is, and what's going to occur when the new high school cafeteria comes online. So please, while Ms. Jenkins is here, there'll be a good opportunity for any questions that we may have that deals with the operations of our food services. So, Ms. Jenkins, thank you.
Can everybody hear me?
You're gonna have to raise. You can raise that up.
Raise it?
Oh, you can hold it. You might have to
No,
hold
I
it.
don't want to hold it. Seriously? Okay.
You just bend down. Then, that's all.
All right. Can you hear me now? I feel like the rising pressure.
Good.
You're gonna. Oh
I'll
no,
help.
no, I don't need. You're gonna make it. Oh, so you can pull me off when it's too.
That's right, I'm gonna hook you.
No, I don't think so. I'll hold it.
You'll hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay?
Yes, I think so. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I will try to speak as best I can in here. Okay, hello everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shelley Jenkins and I am the Director of Food Services here and Child Nutrition here at the Sayreville Schools. I've been the director here for the past 15 years. A little bit more about me, I'm a resident of Sayreville, a former graduate of Sayreville High School. I attended the University of Delaware where I received a Bachelor of Science degree in Nutrition and Dietetics, and I'm also a registered dietitian. I was asked here tonight by the board to make a presentation. Hopefully it will give you some insight as to what my role is as the director. I will be providing you with an overview of school nutrition, as well as discussing some of the changes and mandates that have occurred over the past few years with regard to child nutrition. Then I'll be giving you a preview of some of the exciting things to look forward to for the next school year. The title of my presentation is School Nutrition Team Spirit. I chose this title because it truly is a team effort to prepare and serve the meals to the students of our schools. We currently serve breakfasts and lunches. Now we are going to be offering breakfast to the high school. As of next year, we're mandated to do that. And I have an excellent, dedicated staff who work very hard with me as a team to make this happen on a daily basis throughout the school year. And they didn't pay me to say that. I didn't know who was coming. So, with that being said, we'll continue with the presentation. The program objective is to provide nutritious meals, well-balanced meals for the children, to foster good health and academic achievement, and to reinforce nutrition education taught in the classroom. Healthy Choices, Healthy Kids. It's a statewide initiative that was announced at the Healthy Kids Summit in Trenton in 2003. Healthy Choices, Healthy Kids is an initiative to improve children's academic performance by promoting better nutrition and physical activities in the schools. The USDA School Meals Initiative for Healthy Children recommends using dietary guidelines to prepare and plan your meals for school lunches. The reason for doing is that if you use these guidelines, it actually provides a balanced nutritional content for the menus that are provided. They also meet the calorie levels for the age appropriateness of the children, and it meets the RDAs. A third of the RDA for lunch and a quarter of the RDA for breakfast. In the beginning, the dietary guidelines were used to prepare the healthy choices for the menus, and now the guideline message is to follow your ABCs. Next slide. A is for aiming for fitness, B to build a healthy base, and that's just based on your nutrition knowledge and more experience in making better choices so that you can choose sensibly for better health. Okay, getting to the really brass tacks of child nutrition. When the child nutrition department comes in and audits our food service department, they look at the calories and nutrient standards of our menus. So calories have to be age appropriate. Less than or equal to 30% of those calories have to come from fat. 10% of those calories have to come from saturated fat. They also look at protein requirements, calcium, iron, vitamin A, vitamin C, as well as cholesterol, sodium, dietary fiber, and carbohydrates. The next two slides I'm not going to go into too much detail, but what they do when they come in and audit the menus, they look at the calories and they're specific to each age group, and they look at the grams of fat, saturated fat, and all of those other requirements, and they take a week's worth of menus, analyze that for those percentages that need to be met in breakfast and lunches. Just go through those. I'm going to speed through this a little bit too. What the School Meals Initiative did was they looked at the 5-year past cycle, and they kind of did an estimate as the percentage of schools that met those standards. Actually, the state of New Jersey didn't do horribly, but in comparison to the rest of the country, you can see the rest of the country was not doing well in the fat and saturated fat category. So what's the problem? The increased trends in adult obesity. You can see it started out in 1985, and by 2001, over 60% of our adult population was considered to be obese. Hence the new American couple. Not only are adults affected, but they found that children are affected as well. The percent of overweight children between the ages 6 and 11 has doubled over the past 20 years. And teens are affected as well. The overweight population of teens between 12 and 19 had tripled over the past 20 years. So it's time for a change. And of course, schools are involved. So they felt that schools can play a major role in preventing health problems because most children spend a large portion of the time at school. Whether they're involved in extracurricular activities, other sports, regardless of the reasoning, they felt it was an ideal place to learn healthy eating habits. And school food service programs were going to be put to the test to do their part by offering healthier foods to kids. I'm going to really elaborate on this part because this is really the kind of like the nuts and bolts of what we do. What they actually did was we always had an old meal plan, the traditional meal plan. And what they did, our child nutrition is today, they actually went in and enhanced the traditional meal plan. And the reason why they did that was they needed to replace the calories from fat, increase complex carbohydrates, increase nutrients, increase dietary fiber. The nutritional standards that I talked about before were all kept the same, so protein, vitamin A, vitamin C, all of those things still kind of had to stay in place. But you still needed to separate the required age groups. So there's you have different standards for K through 6, like separated between 7 through 12. The food components are still there and the items are still offered, but there were changes for the lunch program, but no changes for breakfast. So now I have a question for you. I'm going to start talking. Does anybody know what the food components are to the lunch program? Can anybody? I'm not going to ask them because they should know. Anybody? Yes? No guesses? basically, there's 4 components to the lunch program, both meals. The first group is the meat group, or meat alternative. The second is your, are they starting to make sense now? Breads and grains. And then there's a fruit and vegetable group, and then there's a milk group. Okay. Now I have to put my glasses on to see, to read this. Breakfast also needs those same 4 components. The difference between breakfast and lunch is that the items offered are not in as larger quantities for serving sizes. So for example, I'll just go over, because there's really no changes for breakfast, I'll just go over the lunch changes. The required quantities for each of these items, the components of the meal, there was always 2 ounces of meat required, and there still is only 2 ounces of meat required to meet the requirements. 8 fluid ounces of milk need to be required. The fruits and vegetables are separated in categories. K through 6, you need 3/4 of a cup per day, and an extra half a cup of serving over a week's time. And for grades 7 through 12, you need a cup of serving of fruits and vegetables per day. The grain group was the biggest affected group. In the past, in the old traditional plan, you only need to have 8 servings of bread a day, and for K through 6, and that increased to now 12 servings per week. 7 through 12, it used to be 10 servings, and now it's 15 servings a day. A lot of you might think, wow, that's a lot of carbohydrates. We're looking at kids, not adults. So kids they grow, they need to have their carbohydrates to grow and maintain healthy weights and things like that. It's just the promotion of the activity. So that's the difference between adult nutrition, so to speak, than kids in growing environments. Next. Okay, so basically, just an overview. The school breakfast program, Offer versus Serve, has the traditional food-based menus. You need 4 of the items offered to the students. The serving size has to equal the minimum quantities required for your age and grade group. You have to price your breakfast at a unit price, and the students have an option to decline 1 item. Next.
Ms. Jenkins, what schools are we offering breakfast at?
All the schools now.
All the schools?
All schools.
Even high school as well?
High school next year.
Next year?
This was high school was the only school excluded, and we met the mandate for next year.
When you say
20%.
next year, 2009, 2010? This September.
This September, we have to offer breakfast to the students
And
here at the high school.
we're required to?
We have to, yes, we require, it's a mandate. Any school that has 20% or more free or reduced population has to offer breakfast.
So if that's not profitable, we still have to offer it?
We still have
Does
to
the
offer
state kick in any money per student?
Actually, believe it or not, the breakfast program is very profitable as far as reimbursement rates go. We just have a very small window of time for the students to take advantage of that. We're not actually running in a deficit right now with the breakfasts because it's an hour of labor. The free and reduced kids actually take advantage of it more than the paid children, but the reimbursement rates on the paid and reduced child cover the costs of the meals themselves. So the breakfast program, if we had more participation in it, can actually make a lot of money.
And it may happen with the new
And
setup?
it can, yeah. And actually for the high school, just because kids, they have their method of transportation is easier than the transportation with the busing situation in the other schools. But because kids are here earlier, they can probably, kind of join in and get that stuff. Exactly. So I'm anticipating that we'll have a better participation for breakfast at the high school level.
Are you planning on marketing better to encourage more breakfast?
Yeah, we probably will. We kind of were thrown this little curveball a little late in the season this year to find out that we were mandated, but we're ready to do that. We might start out just on a smaller scale, just offering cold lunches and then seeing how the food court setup is and what we can do. We probably will be able to offer hot foods.
Well,
which
we
I
have
think
a
will be
freshman
mandated.
orientation this summer, don't we? When is that usually, in August?
It's in August, late August.
So that'd be an
We
opportunity to
can
inform them.
probably
that,
do
you know.
that. And we probably can put something online as well and get that started.
Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, getting back to lunch, the lunch program, the 5 items need to be offered. Serving sizes have to match the required quantities for the ages. Lunch is priced at it as a unit, and the students are able to decline 2 items. You can move on. offer, and that's what we call offer versus serve. We have to have this option on a high school level, but we offer it throughout all the schools, and the students have an option to decline items for the meal. If they don't like it, they don't have to take it, and it actually helps reduce food costs and food waste. So that's why we offer it. So basically, we have to offer the 5 components to the meal. On a lunch level, the students only need to take 3 for us to claim it as a meal. But if they only take 2, we can't claim it as a meal for reimbursement. So we encourage them actually to take all 5. Because it's priced as a unit. Whether you're paying $3 for 3 items or $3 for 5 items, it doesn't matter. You have to do that. But anything under 3, they get charged a la carte prices. And then we can't get reimbursement on that. Okay. And basically schools were set up, school lunch programs or school meal programs were set to, were put out to set an example to give healthier options for a la carte purchases, gradually phase out less nutritious choices. And at that point, they were, we were told to fill vending machines, had to take the sodas out of vending machines, which we had to do. That was a mandated thing. One of the examples about phasing out less nutritious choices was the French fries situation, especially at the high school in the past. I mean, kids just love French fries, but we took it out, and you know what? They eventually got the deal, and it was fine, and it really didn't affect anything on a high school level later on, and they kind of were understanding in that category. So that's an example of a thing that we had done in the past at the high school. Examples of healthy foods. Self-explanatory. Healthy food is low in fat, low in saturated fat, limited in cholesterol and sodium, and provides at least 10% of one or more of vitamins A, C, iron, calcium, protein, or fiber. And this is why Child Nutrition evaluates all of these things. More specifically, low fat means that it can contain no more than 3 grams of fat per serving. Low saturated fat means that it can contain no more than 1 gram of fat, saturated fat per serving. Which brings us to the next mandate that came up, that we had to adopt a school nutrition and wellness policy, which we have in place. It was modeled after the state, Why Reinvent the Wheel. It was put into, it had to be mandated by 2006. We actually implemented it a little earlier to provide students with healthy meals. I'm not going to read through it all, but it's pretty much just to support all of the things that we've been saying. One of the more specific things that came up were that is more in the category of our a la carte sales or the snacks, that any foods with items listed sugar as the first ingredient cannot be sold at all in the schools. Candy was never able to be sold during school. I know there was a little leeway with fundraisers, but that's no longer, really can be. So if Child Nutrition comes in and they see kids walking around with candy, we can get cited for that. And also the reduction in purchase of anything that has trans fats in it. That pretty much most companies have taken trans fats out of most of the foods, so that's really not so much of an issue anymore. The other part of it is mostly in our snack area that anything that we serve can not have any more than 8 grams of total fat per serving, with the exception of nuts and seeds, and no more than 2 grams of saturated fat per serving. So all of our items, our chip items, are all baked now instead of the regular chips, so it's all more healthy choices. And again, the kids kind of adopted that pretty quickly. They don't have a problem with that, so it's working out pretty well. The area that's a little bit, we do sell, you can still sell Snapple, but they encourage you to sell more of 100% fruit juices, more water, and we can also sell vitamin water because it's a form of water, so that's okay. The real strict thing about the Snapple is that each type of Snapple, and they have millions of varieties, you can only have like 40% of your amount of that product available to the students. 60% of that has to be of water or 100% juices, so it's pretty, yeah, and when they come in, I mean, we can kind of work around that, but it's very specific to that. On an elementary school level, the only thing you can offer is 100% fruit juices or vegetable juices or milk or water. Okay, I'm going to get a little involved in this. And how's my time?
You okay?
Okay. Record keeping. It's critical. Obviously, when you get reimbursements from the state, you have to keep tons of records and validate everything if you're going to get money back from them. We know that when we apply for grants as well as anything else. So I'm going to go over a couple of these things, and it's very fine print, so I have to get my slide and read it off. The first one is we do have to file a monthly reimbursement voucher with child nutrition for each school, and it's per meal. So all of these records that we keep for lunch, we also have to keep for breakfast as well. So we have to keep two separate books, two separate sets of books for each meal that we serve per school. We need to maintain current records of our free and reduced applications, even though they're done on a school basis. If there's any changes, we have to keep updating them and then let the schools know of any changes so that we don't overclaim anybody for free or reduced meals. I prepare edit check worksheets to document the free and reduced meals, the meal lunch eligibility per school, per meal to certify the claim, and then that information goes into our reimbursement voucher so that we can get the money back from the state. We have to collect and maintain daily meal counts and income records. Daily menus or monthly menus are done. I'm going to talk about production records at the end because it's a pretty detailed piece of information. We keep standardized recipes for all our meals. We have to keep nutritional labels for all our meals and items served. We have to prepare statistical and financial reports to support our reimbursement vouchers. The temperatures are part of the production record. I'll go over that in a little bit. A new HACCP regulation requires us to put in a sign-in sheet for any vendors that bring in food in. That's based on the whole 9/11 situation. In case there's any kind of food tampering or anything like that, people have to come in and out and sign, and then you can always backtrack on that if there's any problems. We maintain and monitor monthly food inventories. The schools actually individually, physically go in and count the food items. It's for record keeping, for ordering purposes, and then I put it in also in our monthly report for finances. And I also audit and monitor the Type A lunches and breakfast for meal accountability regulations to make sure that they meet the standards and we don't overclaim. Getting back to the production record, and you guys have this in your packet if you wanted to follow along, but I'll just briefly go over it. This tool is, it's like Child Nutrition Bible, and anything and everything that they can put on this piece of paper, they put on there. So they added the new regulations for HACCP on here as well. These ladies will vouch for it. It's a very tedious, time-consuming responsibility for them to do on a daily basis, but they have to record every menu item served on that piece of paper. Next to it, they have to put in their recipe code or recipe name. The next section is the HACCP process, and that has to do with whether the item is cooked, if it's cooked the same day, if it's not cooked, if it's cooked and reheated and cooked. They have to put that down as a regulation, and there's a standard operating procedure for them to use as a tool guide. They need to put the portion sizes of the food or menu items that are offered, put down what tool that they use to prepare the portion size of those foods. They also need to write down how much of the items that they cooked for the day, what was used, so that they know what their leftovers are. And then throughout the day, they need to take the time and they need to record the time and the temperature of the food items. All cooking hot, it's all the hot food as well as the cold food. They have to also keep it on a holding level when it's on the tray line. And then if they have to cool it to refrigerate it, they have to also take a temperature of that as well. And that's all new mandates based on food safety and sanitation. It's monitored by Child Nutrition. It's also monitored by our county health inspectors when they come in. We're also talking about the transportation from the cold stuff and or hot stuff that comes from the middle school that's satellited to each of the schools. That the temperatures have to be taken at the middle school before it leaves, and then when it goes to the other schools, it needs to be taken on the receiving end and then refrigerated and are put in a holding unit. So all of that is done. And the county health inspector has followed the truck to make sure that that's done correctly. So this piece of information it's critical, and it has to be done, and it has to be done right.
Mrs. Jenkins?
Yes.
Some of our schools, students swipe for their meals. UES, what else for those schools?
Just the middle school now.
Middle school and high school will
The high
be-
school, I'm looking into that now.
Okay, how do we track that, and how do you know in the other schools where that's not implemented, if a student coming through the line is free meal, reduced meal, or is paying?
It's on the register. We use tickets, and they're coded tickets.
So they
All the
have
schools,
tickets.
they have tickets, right?
And the automated one, obviously, it's easy to track because you have a
Exactly.
printout,
It's perfect.
and then everything else. has
And
to
you
be-
don't actually single out the free and reduced children either. So it's
Right.
implemented in there, everyone comes in there. If they prepay, if they're free, if they're reduced, it just comes up on their card.
Right.
And it makes things a lot easier, certainly.
If we had that system in place, would that increase the speed at which we can get our kids
It-
in and out of the line too?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, at the middle school, I mean, you know, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but yeah, it's geared to expedite that. Yeah. The key is that the kids need to have their cards. So if they don't have the card, then you have to look up their name or listen to their name and type it in. After a while, the women do know the children because they've been working with them. After a while, it's not so bad. And then the same kids, you know, tend to forget their card because they know that the woman knows who they are. So it's kind of like one of those catch-22s. But ultimately, if everything was in place, it's supposed, that's the whole goal.
Have
For
you
sure.
envisioned that? Because I know it's a cost, but even
Yes,
though it's a minimal
yes.
cost, the kids can eat faster, have more time to sit down.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we addressed, I'm not sure if you remember, with the Dynamics, with the finger print thing, with the fingerprinting situation. We wanted to try to do that and get it actually interfaced within the school's technology computer systems. And I don't know, I'm still actually waiting for a phone call back because Power School now has a Power Lunch program, and I believe it may be a POS system. I'm just not quite sure if it's the exact same thing as we have right now at the UVS or the middle school. But if it is, then we would automatically be interfaced with our school information, student information, so that when a student comes in and is classified as free and reduced, we don't have to re-export into our program. It'll automatically go in as a transfer, as you know, and it kind of will all work together.
So it's actually a moneymaker too, because we're keeping better track of how many free and reduced, which we can seek reimbursement for.
Yes.
And what happens when those systems break down, and how reliable are they?
Well, when they break down, or you can ask the women. I mean, they don't break down very much. We do have a backup plan, and you have to have the, you know, a roster list, and we go into place. If it breaks down system-wide, I'm not sure, because right now we're freestanding away from our existing computers at the schools. So it doesn't always, you know, we haven't had too many problems, right? No.
Thank you.
That kind of pretty much goes through the record-keeping aspect of it. This was just a general slide just showing that our numbers of lunches have increased along the ways and are kind of leading us into the next section. Was my whole team approach, or team theme, to get everybody excited for Team Spirit. You have a pep rally, right? So I just wanted to assure you that we do use portion control. There is nutrition education, and we do encourage physical activity within our schools under the school wellness program. And we are going to rally to continue to support all of those measures for the upcoming school year. These are some of the new exciting things that came up. I can't take credit for the graphics. Carrie Corvino, who's the high school graphic arts teacher, helped me with this. I actually showed her some templates of my old cut and paste methods because I am not very computer literate. And she actually worked her magic to with some graphic arts designs on this, and then I just implemented the menus. So this is a look at our new elementary school menu. This is the upper elementary school menu. The middle school menu, which I'll just talk a little bit about this. The middle school menu actually has always offered a lot of choices. It's just never been marketed or menued accordingly. And this kind of pretty much depicts what is being offered, or what was being offered, and actually some additionals, and it's just kind of put in a better light for most of the kids and maybe parents to see. And more exciting is our new high school food court. I know that our staff can't wait to start cooking again. We had a long year and a half with cold lunches, and we did, even though we did bring in some food on the outside for hot, and even kind of worked our little magic with bringing some hot food satellited over from the middle school, having our home ec department hold over some of the hot food for us for temperature purposes. We were able to feed the kids here some hot lunches towards the end of the school year. I know that they're going to be excited to, with all the variety, as well as just having hot foods available to them. I think you guys all went on a tour. The drafting teacher and her students actually came up with this 3D model for me, and I just actually templated the areas from the food court. But if you can remember what you walked through, when you walk through the doors, directly in front of you is going to be the grill station. And we will be offering hamburgers and cheeseburgers, veggie burgers, something new, grilled chicken and chicken patty sandwiches there on a daily basis, plus some specials. We're going to have if you're facing it, to the right will be a pizza station. I don't know if you noticed there were pizza ovens. We're going to be making pizza. We're working with a vendor to get whole wheat crust pizzas as well as regular crust pizzas, and then we'll probably be still offering some of the other traditional kinds of pizzas as well, with all different kinds of toppings. That'll be available on a daily basis. To the opposite side of the grill station is going to be the Mexican Fiesta. That'll be more tacos, which are very popular, nacho kinds of situations, and maybe some other kind of Mexican theme ideas along the way. We are going to be offering a deli station and a salad station as well. And then in the middle two aisles, if you saw those two things in the middle, that'd be more like a grab and go and like for sides. So if kids just want to pick up a sandwich and not want to maybe wait in line because they just need to do something or go whatever, that's going to be that station there. Next to the areas where we're going to put deli and salads is actually going to be the traditional tray line kinds of food, so that would be what would be menued in the middle. So as you can see, there's tons of varieties available. Obviously, we have to keep those production records for all of these different stations, so the girls are going to be very busy doing that. But I am confident that in all my observations and touring of other schools that have food courts from their traditional tray line area, they all had a tremendous increase in participation. So I look forward to seeing that because I think it will generate a lot more revenue for the schools. Other things that I talked about that are not inside, that's pretty much concludes my presentation, but some of the other things that I came up with for generating some revenue were offering monthly theme days, you know, like Chinese New Year. We have done these kinds of things in the past, but maybe marketing them a little bit more for the schools. Offering lunch specials. Obviously at the high school we can do like a pasta bar. We might be able to do it at the middle school, the elementary schools. We may need to, once we get some more revenue, buy some equipment and maybe kind of do a little bit more at the elementary school level. But certainly maybe offer a healthy snack with the purchase of a meal to get more participation over in that area. And then offer more catering options for meetings and special events with the school. Last year, actually, the middle school manager cook, she put together a luncheon for the PTO who offered it to their teachers, and it was actually a really nice hot buffet. It was chicken francaise, eggplant rollatini, and pennyroot vodka, and she had a nice tossed salad and Italian bread. Very well received. I know I had some of it. I believe Omidio and Carla sampled it as well, and it was actually very good. So the plan is to get together a menu. I'll probably meet with my manager, cooks, and see what we can come up with.
Well, we toured the cafeteria again this evening, we're excited about it. I think, after working in a high school, I know the biggest gripe of students is the amount of time you have to eat.
Yeah.
And you have to wait in line, and by the time you finally sit down, the bell's going to ring in 6-7 minutes. And now, the way this is laid out, you grab what you want, and you check out, and you have more time to eat. And I think that's going to be an area where the kids are going to want to do. So I know it's not cool to bring your own lunch to high school. So I think this is... One of the issues the board was concerned with, looking at the books every month that we get, that the cafeteria as a whole within the district was running a deficit.
Right.
And that was one of our concerns, but we also realized that you didn't have your biggest revenue maker for a number of years because the high school cafeteria. But now that this is up and running, and I know Pat and I were arguing about some of the appliances in there and what they're for, but
They are going to show us what everything's for.
right, everybody will be trained, I assume.
Yes, we will.
But now that is, what is your vision as far as the revenue generation? What do you think is going to be the biggest money maker in that cafeteria?
Well, just from past experience, or just from what we've served in the past, pizza is big. It's a big thing. Our Mexican area.
Let me stop you right there. Now, the pizza that we've been serving and have served,
is big.
do we get that from the outside?
No, well, both. We actually get it from a vendor, and we make that, and then we also get it from like Papa John's and Domino's.
So is the intention to make it here now?
We're making it here. Yeah, it'll be
So
fresh with toppings, different types of toppings. As long as it meets the standards, we're going to provide it.
So that would generate more revenue than if you had to buy it? And
Correct. It should be less. It'll definitely be less expensive per serving, for sure. All right, I'm not going to get into this part, but I think there's a little bit of, I think we'll definitely generate much more of a participation. To be quite honest with you, I was impressed with the amount of students that bought lunches at the high school, only offering cold lunches this year. Like, we were serving over 500 kids this year, only cold. So there's like 1,600, I believe, at the high school. Having all of these other varieties and options available to them, I can envision serving over 700 children in this school easily. And if not, at some point in time, we'll get them in to buy something, because it's just going to be just like how the upper elementary school, when it's new, it's innovative. It's certainly a new concept for us in general with the food court. So it's got to be enticing for anybody to come in and look for.
You hit on it before, and we were talking about that among ourselves, about having a menu, a catering menu. Because what I envision with this new cafeteria, that perhaps we can draw the sports teams and those other activities to have their banquets here, and cater it in-house, which would be a revenue maker. And also, to have that available, I know we just had a conference within the district with the state. We had 200 administrators. If we had the ability to cater to that,
Well,
those
actually,
types of
we
things.
were all, there was some kind of a legal thing with that.
Well, there always is.
Yeah, but because of the Department of Education, we couldn't provide that meal until they had to go out for a
even if it was more cost effective.
something. I know.
Yeah, they practice.
Because they actually asked. Yeah, they actually asked me to do it, but then, and I think we have to file something with the Department of Education. I have to file something.
You have to become like a vendor.
Something like that. So whatever we need to do, if we do, I think it's just paperwork. I don't think it's any other than, and it might be there might be a cost involved, but I don't think I think it's nominal.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is that all right?
Again?
Yeah, I was. But just so you feel pretty confident with this cafeteria opening up.
I do.
That we are going to stay profitable.
All right, I'm pretty confident that I'm very confident that that's going to happen. Some of the drawbacks that are going to be, and it was under your direction and your approval, but the cost of our lunches, you kind of directed me to drop them a quarter. Child Nutrition kept them at the same price as, they didn't increase prices. We, under someone's direction, told me to drop them.
That was the board.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're already operating at, a little less of an issue on a quarter basis. Food costs right now, I have no idea what they are. We still have to go out to bid.
That's one thing the board didn't understand. They didn't know, at least I didn't, that you have to go bid these things.
Yes.
And you really can't control that.
Right. I actually was approached by all the vendors to keep the prices of all of our, whatever we had last year. They were going to roll them over to this school year. But I was told that we wanted to bid out. So that's, I have no idea what my food costs are going to be for next year.
I have one more question. I'll open up to the rest of the board. Do you know comparable to other districts in our area, their cost of lunch, like Oak Ridge, Edison, compared to what we charge?
I can just tell you that the self-op programs, Woodbridge and East Brunswick, are all at the maximum prices.
What is that program you mentioned? Self-up?
It's
Not
self-op, meaning they
Oh.
run under the board, they're not a
Okay.
management company.
Oh, okay. So they're all charging the max, which
They're
is
all charging
$3?
that, yes, and it's mostly because of the like
$3.25.
$3.25 for a high school lunch.
Right.
Like, we dropped it down to $3.
Okay. Any board members have any questions?
Just one question. Do you foresee the need for additional staff?
Right now, what I did was creatively use the staff that we have right now to get the high school up and running. We're working with 13. We might need 14, but we're going to just be creative with that and hopes, you know, if we can handle that, we might have to maybe pull somebody off a register depending on the flow of, you know, we're going to try to work the best we can with that. Obviously, if we need to have a substitute, we're not paying a substitute worker anywhere near the hourly rate that they're paying our regular workers, but you know, that's something that we can address later on. But I think right now the elementary schools have been running pretty well with 2 and like a half people, some of the schools, and I think we're going to do that. We did some changes and try to be a little creative, doing more with less, and I'm positive that we can make it work, and I know my staff is willing to work extra hard to do that, as they always have been.
Mr. Bashar?
Ms. Jenkins.
Can you talk in the microphone, sir? Thank you.
Ms. Jenkins, right now you have 3 cook managers are operating for, how many schools in the district are cooking as such? The high school is down, so you have what? Wilson, middle school, UES, Samsel UES?
We have 7 schools in the district.
Right, and how many are cooking in them?
All the schools prepare hot meals, but the high school, the upper elementary school, and the middle school do actually cooking and prep for more foods within there because they offer more variety.
Okay. I have a question here. We had a memo sent to us on February 13th, 2009, and 2008, it showed a net loss of 69,000 plus. Projected at the end of the year was supposed to be a $139,000 loss, and for 2009, 2010, there's a projection of an $8,000 loss. We have state regulations that mandate that we can't dip into our general fund to support the cafeteria. Am I correct on this? And what was our net loss for the year 2010? You had a projection dated here.
We don't have 2009, we just completed. And right now, with, prior to having the auditors come in, we're sitting with, $54,000 loss this year.
And how do we justify this with this legislation that's within,
You don't have to justify it, you just have to
there's
come
no
out.
penalties or anything?
There's
You will
sufficient
have-
surplus there in the account to cover it.
After this year, you will probably have to raise the money for the deficit at the end of this year in your 10-11 budget. So right now, I'm estimating, prior to the auditors and prior to depreciation, I believe you have to raise $20,000 at this point.
But the new cafeteria may very well.
New cafeteria may overcome any of those deficits and bring you back to where you are.
That's all, thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Clark and Mr. Barrett.
Beyond just making money, you really opened my eyes. I think the general public and myself had no idea how involved an operation this is. We just thought you had to go in there and feed the kids, but the amount of
I'm glad
paperwork,
you shed some light on that.
record,
It's not just
and
that.
record keeping, all that is unbelievable.
It's pretty intense.
But the larger issue is you and your staff are front line on the childhood obesity problem. Pediatricians have been yelling for years when they noticed the type 2 diabetes coming up and all of that.
Right.
But beyond the school doors, where I applaud you guys for trying to help our kids and later on in the future to stop things like heart attacks and things like that. What can we do as parents and what can you do as parents to help us continue the program that you're starting here so that it gets home? Because
Well,
the school can't do it alone.
I
We need
know,
to do
obviously.
something too.
There's some of the things that I put on the back, the last part is like nutrition and education materials. Those are the kinds of things that are put on the backs of menus, and they're just kind of informational things. Obviously, they meet the wellness and the guidelines of all that stuff. Unfortunately, I mean, I guess just through education and things, you can just put it out there in hopes that people will pick up on this. I believe that the trend is that, I have to be honest with you, my whole thought process on this is like moderation is the key. Like, there's kids in this world that are really thin and need to have additional calories, and everybody's like all about the obesity thing, and I'm not disregarding that, but the focus, I mean, you have to just put things in perspective and, eat in moderation, increase your physical activity. If you want to have the French fries at some point, I mean, obviously do that, but the world of supersizing and all that stuff, unfortunately, and the sedentary behavior kind of put us in this mode. So it's not like, I mean, it's great that schools are becoming involved in this, but you're right, it's not just the school's responsibility, it's the parents too. I mean, obviously right now, we're providing breakfast and lunch. We don't know what they're eating for dinner. We don't really govern what the kids bring in from home, but certainly if they don't see it being sold here, they could still go out and buy it somewhere else, I mean, we can't be everywhere, but the message is there and it's out there. And I guess the thing to you is that these guidelines are set, and it's really portion control. I mean, it's really all about that. If anybody has ever been on a diet, like, you sort of know that that's kind of like the premise of most of this stuff. 2 ounces of protein is not a lot of protein. Child nutrition sells, I mean, they have products that have CN labels on them which meet the requirements. That's the stuff that you buy for school lunch. So, I mean, for a lot of people, like to say, to offer a large variety for our high school level kids, we do offer more choices, but on an elementary school level, I mean, those are the requirements that are there. Those are the food items that are a little bit more cost effective to put on the menu. And then we try to enhance them or encourage them to buy some of the foods by giving them a healthy snack, or, maybe giving them a promotional thing along the way. And that's the marketing part of it that, we probably need to get back into along the ways.
Yes, I just had a question. You talked about the schools with the swipe cards. For the grammar schools where there are no swipe cards, could you explain how the money and the ticket process works in that school, how they collect?
They actually, the teachers actually get the orders or get the numbers for the kids, and then it gets called into the middle school. The tickets are actually coded for a free, a reduced, or a paid meal, and the ladies on the elementary school level get that all together. The registers actually have keys on them for a paid, free, or reduced meal, and that's how that all the kids actually handle money to the register ladies.
To the register ladies,
Yes.
not to the teachers.
No,
So
it used to be.
money.
I think it used to be back in the day,
Right,
where
right,
the
I knew that.
teacher. Yeah, no. They actually hand it, and that actually holds up the line.
Right.
In elementary school, because they put them in little Ziploc bags, and then they dump it on the counter, and the money rolls off. That's why I think when you guys were suggesting, like, I think the $2.95 for the lunches, I was trying to beg you for the quarter, because it's just so much easier with bigger coins for the elementary school level kids. It's a nightmare for them, because they do open up. I know that there's the aid sometimes will help them open up the envelopes, but yeah, it's
Do we do
it's a
anything
process.
for like a weekly paid or monthly paid?
yeah, we do
lunch in
prepaid
grammar
lunches
schools?
if they do.
And the
We,
grammar
we
schools?
offer that. You have to offer prepaid meals. Yes, you have to offer that.
Mr. Bashar.
And I just want to say thank you for changing the menu around. I've been at the schools and have seen some students that didn't enjoy their lunches, and a variety of different menus per week, per day, I think is going to be a helpful thing for nutrition.
Mr. Sack.
First of all, I want to thank in particular the high school team of yours who has had to probably deal with the most adversity out of anyone in this construction project, based upon what you had to do and where you had to do it. And I think you really deserve some commendation for that.
Yeah, they did a great job.
I mentioned at the last meeting, this is my own personal feelings, it's not necessarily the feelings of the board. My vision for the cafeteria, and keep in mind, this is a vision, so we're talking 3, 5, 7 years, not something that I'm looking for on September 1.
Okay.
I'm looking for lowest price in the county,
Okay.
largest selection,
Okay.
best food quality,
Okay.
and meeting all of the food regulations. Now, again, that's
Quite
a
a
vision.
challenge, but that's okay.
And that's why it's a vision. We should be heading towards it. We may never achieve it, but we should be heading towards it. With those 4 parameters, beyond that, it doesn't bother me how many people you employ. It doesn't bother me how many cooks you have versus managers, so long as the cafeteria program breaks even
Right.
and we're heading towards that vision. So from my perspective, that's really what I'd be looking for you to do, under this with the new cafeteria. Same thing with the pricing. If you've got a concern with the pricing, that $3 is not going to make it this year,
Right.
and you want to come back to us and say, look, here are the financials,
Right.
here's what I plan to sell,
Right.
and I can't do it for $3, but I can do it for $3.10, and show us some data.
Okay.
Me personally, again, I can't speak for the board, I'm willing to entertain that discussion as early as August, and if we need to adjust the pricing to $3.10 or $3.15 for a year, I'm fine with that. Again, as long as we're looking at ways that we can trend towards $3.10, $3 and back down again.
I can understand your theory on that too, but just to know that it's fine to price your lunches like that, but usually what happens, and I'll just use a management company as an example, their a la carte prices will be that much higher, so they cover those costs. So for example, we're charging, say, $1.25 for a bottle of water, they'll charge $2. So their lunch prices may be $2.50, but if you want a bottle of water, you're paying $2. So that's the difference, and we kept our prices the same on a la carte too, and I didn't really realize that you guys wanted to, that the board
Yes.
really wanted to, I'm sorry, to lower prices. But my thought process would be then we would need to kind of raise a la carte prices to cover that cost. I think it's going to be a challenge. Again, I don't know my food costs, so right now it's a very difficult determination to make. But I know that the high school is going to generate a larger profit in participation, with their participation increase, and just working with some of these other revenue generating ideas. I think we should be able to do that. But I plan to meet with Amidio month to month, and we may have to address this. We may even have to go to tier pricing. I don't know if you can kind of change your lunch prices in the middle of the school year or not. We're also probably going to get reviewed by Child Nutrition this coming school year, so I would just maybe just leave things. I don't want to.
And that's fine. I would hope that there's an ongoing
Yeah.
review in terms of how we can improve and
Yeah.
what we can change. And I also don't think bringing in a private firm is going to lower our costs to our students, because they're looking to make a profit.
Right.
So you're going to have that
But that's what I'm
additional
saying. Like they may
tack on.
have but they may also have a lesser cost. Their lunch prices usually are a little less, but their a la carte prices are a lot higher.
I have confidence in you. I think that you can meet the private firm.
I'll be working my
I
magic.
don't see Mrs. Bloom, so maybe we can suggest that we mandate all teachers have lunch in the high school. I know, I'll get the emails tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mrs.
Is there
Stratton?
anything?
Yeah, the reason why we went for a lower pricing is I think in comparison to all the schools we looked at, all the schools have a lower pricing, and, if they can do it, our thought was, should we be able to provide a good quality lunch at a lower price. The other thing I wanted to ask about the meal cards, are you able to use them in the register to charge the child, or no, you still have to punch everything in? And the reason why I'm asking is
You're
that
talking about with the POS systems?
you know the little cards the kids have?
Yes.
Are you able to put that in the register and charge?
No.
kind of?
These are just regular cash registers.
Yeah, because I know where I work, we have like
You have something
free
like
pay, that what you do is you just scan.
Is that hooked into a computer network or something?
It's right into the cash register, and what you do, it's just like on a keychain, and I was just thinking for the high school, all they do is put it on top, and it charges right off the card. And it's the same thing, you'd have to put money on it or whatever, but
Well, we're looking
It would
into
help
like I said, the school, Power School has a Power Lunch program, and I think it's a POS system, and again, if that's what it is, that's what we're gonna get.
Those are really good. I know what you're talking about. Those cards, you swipe and the kid's picture comes up on the screen, so you know it's the kid using the right card, and it's not.
Right, well, that's how the POS system
Right.
works, but it's kind of through the computer. I didn't know if that was a register. I don't know, I'm not really
yeah,
familiar with that,
this
but
one works right
certainly.
into our cash register. I know where, where I work,
Oh,
I
I don't know, I
work
guess
in
we
a
can.
hospital, so they take we only have 2 people
It
working.
might
at
be
the
really
cash
good
register.
for the elementary
Yeah.
schools, though.
Yeah.
Mrs. Esposito?
Yeah, we have so many moms relying on you right now with their jobs, and we appreciate everything that you're doing for them. I just wanted to know, aside from the high school being down, what is your biggest obstacle in making profit? Like, what do you feel your biggest obstacle would be that we might be able to help you with?
The labor costs are on the high side. But, you know, that's something that I can't really deal with, so.
Anyone else? Mr. Lambo, you have
Yes, Ms. Jackson. At what point do you go out for your bidding? What point will you know your prices? I just want to make sure if
we
there
have-
is a need to adjust the price, we have enough
Our
time to do that.
bids, I think, Laura, they're due back August
They do
11th.
big
August
mid-August, and we have them
mid-August.
awarded at our August meeting.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna do this year is we're gonna look and see if we can put in, so we're not dealing with the same situation, if we can have multi-year pricing, so that, because the reason we weren't able to give them their pricing to hold them is because it wasn't in their bids last year. So we're looking at a way to see if we can include that, to say, if you want to do future pricing, we'll entertain it, so you have a fixed rate for 2 to 3 years.
So it used to be mandated that you can actually renew your milk and bread contract, but any other items had to go out for bid. And I think that that still is in place unless it's a board's discretion to change that policy, but you could renew for 3 years, but then you had to go out for bid to change it out.
anyone else? Okay, Ms. Jenkins, this was an excellent brief. I'd like to keep this, hold on to this.
Those are yours, there might get.
Because this is very informative to me, because I remember when I was in school, you went through the line, you got whatever it was. If you asked what it was, Sister Mary Arlene hit you with the yardstick, and then you got, she called home. So I was just amazed. You're approaching $500,000 lunches.
Yes,
Is what
it's
you're doing.
amazing.
I don't think people understand.
No, I know, it's a lot.
You know, and working in a high school, I tell you, the cafeteria, it's the hardest job, and I know cleaning up after just 3 kids, but to have 1,700 kids every day. And we're excited about, and I'm absolutely convinced that it's going to be a profit maker, that cafeteria.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
And, you know, we're here to make sure that you have the tools you need to be successful. So like Mr. Syke made a good point here. If you feel that, you know, we kind of tied your hands by saying, make money, but you can't charge as much, you know, you need to let us know that.
Okay.
Again, I appreciate the briefing and thank you. I know you went over, but that's fine. It was very informative, huh? Very good.
It was your questions, that's what you
Very good. Thank you. It's our fault. It's always our fault. Yes. One other thing I wanted to mention to you, on a personal note here, a suggestion. Get yourself in a union. You're a supervisor, you're a director, and you should not be out there flailing. And this is something the board, I'm personally going to pursue. That. I think that's what needs to be done to avoid problems that we had in the past. So is that something you're agreeable to? Because I know you've been, how many years you've been in the district? 15. Okay, so I think that's long overdue. So I will pursue that. Thank you very much. Yes. Oh yes, I'm sorry. If anybody from the public has any questions about, you can just stand up. I can't see that. Can you go up to the microphone so we can hear you? Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Kay Osmond, Miller Avenue, Centerville. I have a question regarding the cafeteria physicals. Can I ask it now, or do I wait?
I won't know the answer, but I'm sure maybe somebody will. Go ahead.
Okay. We go to get a school physical every summer.
Right.
I sat 3 hours today waiting for a physical, and all they do is a blood pressure. Last year was a heart. My theory is, does the school physicals come out of the general account or cafeteria account?
I will defer to our
Okay. Well, to save the board money, could the school nurses do this physical? Get them the stipend at the end of the year?
That's a very good question. If we could take an action item to find it out. I guess I have a stupid question, and it probably won't be my first. Why do the cafeteria workers need a physical?
Okay, this is my theory, because I know last year 2 girls went in at the same time and got 2 for 1. Okay?
No, that's a serious question. Why do?
It's a joke. It's really a joke, and it's a waste of taxpayers' money.
It's state law that they have to have physicals?
Can we find? Just when I thought I've heard everything.
I can look.
I'm serious, yeah.
I can look at
Yeah, I heard the word law.
Okay, now the next question is, we have tons of cafeteria subs, okay? They go for a physical, am I correct? Okay, some of those subs haven't worked, don't work all year. That's money laid out in the district. So,
I'd like to, if we can follow up on those. Yeah.
so I'd say give it to the school nurses and give them the stipend.
Good point. Thank you, Matt. Anyone else have any questions about Ms.? Is that Mr. Foley?
Yes. Bob Foley, Lemire. I just had a question. How do you measure profit for the cafeterias?
We just do the accounting is through a separate independent account and funding.
What are the factors? The food costs against the
I
food
charge
sales?
off
Does it
this
include
year.
salaries and benefits?
Salaries, benefits, and payroll taxes.
So it's
Are
an
all
actual.
charged.
Okay, so it's an actual
And
self.
depreciation in the order.
Yes.
Okay, so it's an actual.
It's like if you had a business or restaurant, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Foley. Anyone else have any questions or comments about Manham? If you, yeah, the reverb. Please come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Diane Bansimer, 15 South Edward Street, Saraville. Last year, I had the same problem. This year, I wanted to go to my own doctor. All I had to do was pay a $15 copay. I'm due in August for my checkup. Can I go there and pay the copay?
Yeah.
And just, because last year, I sat there, there's a pain management doctor that's in that building. There's guys getting their drug prescriptions.
Right.
I don't feel like sitting there for 2 or 3 hours either. Can I go to my own doctor?
Yeah, we're going to look into this and find out, number one, what drives the requirement to do it, and why are the cafeteria the only people that require a physical, and, yeah, we'll definitely take this as an action item. Right, Ms. Sullivan, you hunch that up? Excellent. Anyone else? If not, I'll close the public portion for Ms. Jenkins. Thank you very much for your time. Excellent briefing. Okay, Dr. Alfano, let's press on with the...
You have your correspondence.
Okay. Correspondence, everybody should have got the reports listed. If anybody has any comments, additions, deletions, if not...
I move the correspondence we received and filed.
Okay, I need a second. No. We don't need this, just for the minutes. Everybody should receive the minutes for the last two meetings, June 23rd and July 7th. Again, does anybody have any deletions, additions, or questions?
Page 27 is where I have the correction. But one thing we put in these minutes, when people on the board, per se, ask a question, and you write in the minutes, and this one is an example, but it's a recurring thing. People are asking questions, and you print the question in the minutes, but you don't print the answer. So can we expand that? Okay. But the question I had, this was my question, and my question was about the GPA, not about, it said the bar. I had a question about changing the GPA. And I believe when we tabled that, we only tabled the GPA section.
Well, it was the whole AI.
Yeah, but the GPA was the only portion that I guess we had
Well, you
problems
had
with. So
it.
did we table the whole thing?
Yeah, you
By
have
doing
tabled the
that?
item.
Yeah, no, I thought we tabled the whole thing.
Yeah, I did too, but on the agenda of discussion, we're going to resolve that tonight.
Yes, I know, but I just wanted you to
Okay.
change that to the GPA instead of bar.
Yeah, that's all right. That was on the table.
Well, that was just on my comment, not on the agenda.
No,
It's
it
under me,
right.
okay. And the other question on page 34, if we could add this under the executive session, under negotiations, it says here the Board of Education discussed the part, not the gymnastics part, the grievance part. I would like to include in these minutes that there was no SEA representatives attended the meeting for this denial. If we could just include that in the
Everyone
minutes.
fine with that?
That's fair. And that's what happened. Correct. Anybody have any problem with that? Because that was in fact the case.
Motion to approve the minutes with the...
Wait,
Oh, sorry.
July, no, the next one.
July 7th, after?
Next one, page, hold on. page 3. On the attachment. Page 3 on the attachment.
Page 3 of the attachment.
Yeah,
Salary.
salary guide.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about my book, okay? Page 3, on the bottom section, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 stars to the right. There should be a 5th one underneath.
I apologize, it should also include Crowden.
And page 23,
23.
Of the attachment.
under attachment. And I'm just going to talk to me, so if I know you grouped us together on this, so if anybody else has any, I'll just, satellite manager, you have an N, okay? And I did not vote no on that one. Matter of fact, you even questioned me at the meeting about that one.
Yeah, I questioned it.
Actually, from what I recall, no one voted no on that one.
Right,
That one
right.
went through.
Right.
And you did specifically ask.
Okay, we'll just take it out.
Is that it, Ms. Hack?
No, one other question that would be a legal question. I also noticed in all these votes, and previously last year with Mr. Limbo and Mr. Zaleski, there was always abstentions. Have those rules changed from last year because there are no abstentions in here? And I think that should have been reflected in this.
Depends on the vote. What was the voting question?
This was, we weren't at the meeting. It was on the salary, the 23-page salary guide.
Mr. Lembo's wife appears somewhere in this report, I guess.
And you abstained on it, didn't you?
Yeah,
we did abstain.
I did abstain on it, I remember.
Now, like, what were the sections that you abstained on? I didn't see
She
the
said it's not-
extension.
No, just
There's
on
no
the-
note
just
for
on the-
extension
Just on
on
the
it.
approval of the permit.
Yeah, but her point is that it's not reflected in this.
Oh.
Right, there's nothing, there's no abstentions in the minute at all.
I didn't have that in my notes.
You need an A next to Mrs. Lumbo.
We'll add
Is
it.
it only, because I remember there were always other things that they could have voted, is it only the white?
We'll find her.
What are the rules
It's on
for
page-
abstentions?
It's on page 20, halfway down.
If you're talking about collective negotiation agreements, the rules for abstentions are, let's use the example of a spouse in the district, for example. You have a spouse in the district who's either supervised by or is a member, supervised by a person whose salary you're voting on, you should abstain, or contract you're voting on. If your spouse in the district obviously is a member of the union and you're being asked to vote on the contract or the salary of that person, you should abstain as well.
Right, but for example, just to clarify it, and I'll use the superintendent for example, they were never allowed to participate in negotiations, okay? Now, once the contract is resolved, like say for example, the superintendent was included in this 23-page document, do you still have to abstain?
You're
On
talking
the
about,
salary.
you're talking about I think, Ms. Becker, you're talking about the distinction between once a memorandum of agreement is in place.
No, the distinction is like a contract's in place. Do you, say for example, I'm just going to superintendent because one person, it's easier. The contract's been voted on, it's been approved, but now, say for example, the superintendent's salary is included in here. Is there an abstention required for that?
I would advise you to abstain on that.
So, because none of the abstentions are reflected in here, I just want to, because I know we had always done it that way before, and this is different. For some reason, this year, this attachment is being handled differently.
I understand. I would advise all board members to abstain on any conflict, and that would include, for example, whether you're voting on their salary, their contract, or any other matter that could, in any way affect the implications of their employment.
This is the question I have, and I'll ask it again. We have contracts that are in effect that the board approved, okay? And they cover, let's say, for the next 3 years. Why are we having to vote on salaries listed here? We could avoid all this because the contract's already been approved. So if you have an approved contract for 3 years, why every year do you have to vote on the salaries that are reflected in the contract that is valid? See, it avoids all this.
Can I answer part of that? I can tell you, being in the middle of my audit, the first thing they asked for was the salary ordinance approving everyone's salary for the year. So I can tell you. it's part of
Then you
the
give them a copy
audit.
of the contract.
No, they specifically want to see what individual contracts per person, what their salaries were.
Because they
They
take a random
specifically
sample.
ask for a salary ordinance every year, and then they do a random test where they take what the board has approved and cross-referencing back to the contract, verifying that people are on proper steps.
Okay, so it's an ordinance thing, it's not a legal thing. If we didn't have it in there, we don't have it in there. We have the contract.
But he would fail his audit.
Then
How do you
you're
fail
not-
audit? There's contracts in fact, in
Well,
fact.
no, but they have no,
contract doesn't tell you who is in that.
it's in it. All it has is a step and a guide, what individuals they are.
And they physically, I've seen him take a name and say, where's her, or his
Yeah,
salary?
it gets to a point where it gets so, it's just like Ms. Jenkins was talking about, somebody's gonna come and look in your freezer and say, well, you only have 60% of this drink, 40%. Yeah,
Right, but
It's
on the
absurd.
flip side, if you have an auditor that wants to verify a payroll record, they actually need something.
but I sign the payroll record every month.
It's strong internal controls, it's the best way I can do it.
Let's press on. I need a motion to
Minutes to be
accept.
approved with the corrections noted by Mrs. Batko.
And Mr. Lemon, second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Backus?
Yes.
Mr. Bishara?
Yes.
Mr. Syan?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Lembo?
Yes.
Mrs. Stratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Pratt?
Yes.
And Mr. Martin?
Yes. We have no student council, no parent involvement, counselor, we have no report, district highlights, we have none. Dr. Alfano, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. McEnroe. Buildings and grounds, this is our Good Works Foundation that's
Dr.
been...
Alfano, let me just interrupt. If there's anything that you come across that's in the addendum, just point that out to us.
Oh, yeah, we're for the public, we've attached the addendum on the top of your packet, and the actual consent agenda will start in sort of about 10 pages in. The board has requested that we, rather than add things to the agenda that kind of mixes up the pages for the board, that we add an addendum from the Friday night packet to the Tuesday. So I'll go through it as I go on. In section 1, there's still one resolution, and that's for the Good Works Foundation. Any questions on section 1? Okay, moving to section 2, finance. A through L is our regular resolutions. Okay. N and O are our school alliance insurance fund, and our risk managers and indemnity fund. These are our insurance categories that we've had for the last few years. D&B Communications is our maintenance of the telephone system that we have. We rescinded a change order for $3,100. And I will let Mr. DeAndrea just briefly discuss item S, which is a change order for number 53 on page 3.
Item number S, basically when we first went out for the referendum, it included the expansion of the administrative suites at this building. In the design change, when we didn't accept the alternate, what was occurring, there was going to be a 20-foot wall built before the main entrance actually starts. At the request of the building principal and the administration of this building, they requested to have the wall removed and have the lobby be continuous glass front, more or less the same on the other side of the gymnasium entrance. So this is removing a stone wall or a brick wall and putting up total glass, starting from where the current administrative suite ends all the way around to keep continuity.
This was also discussed at the HSOC meeting and was approved unanimously.
And it's also a safety issue because Mr. Brown and the administrative suite would be looking at a wall instead of looking into a lobby where there could be problems.
So is it the old wall you're knocking down, or is
No,
it
no,
the new stone wall?
it was the new wall that was going to be built. We're converting it to all.
So the entrance is extending past the administration. Yeah, it's recommendation of the construction oversight committee. Press on.
Okay, item T, there are no increases to these pricings. The admission fees are the same as they've been. There's W is a whole bunch of disposals. X and Y are the two cooperative ed students that work in the middle school and the high school. Now there are two additional resolutions that are on your addendum, Z and double A. This is change order number 4 for a pretzel warmer, which of course we need. And double A is a acceptance of a non-public aid. Of course, we're going to accept that $52,000. Any questions with section 2?
Just a comment on the bills list, I need to abstain on the checks for NJSBA and Carroll State Bank.
And I need to abstain on check number 112915.
Second.
112915.
Mr. DeAndrea?
Mr. Bishada here. Page 1, check number 112809, I'll be voting no. Check number 112812, I'll be voting no. And on page 6, check number 112871, I'll be voting no.
Can you just inform the rest of the board with it too, so we don't have to look all that?
The first check is Epic Management, the second check is for Schnitzer, and the third check is for,
Oh, it's RSC.
that's correct.
Doesn't go to
And
Mrs.
the
States.
third check is for the Harry D. Bell Corporation.
Yes.
I'll be voting no on check for RSC, Harry Bell Corp. And I have a question on another check. On the page 18, there's a check for $1,100 for school board workshops. Can you tell me what that is?
Give me a minute to go with it. That's workshop registration.
Yes.
The Atlantic, the October conference.
That's the total registration.
Okay, so it's not for the workshop, because last year when we went, our workshops were
$1,100 was-
free, correct?
No, the workshops are not free.
I thought all that training we went to was included
The
in.
training, but you have to pay the 1,100 to get in.
Yeah, you get a
Oh,
roof
that's
rate.
just to enter, that's the entrance fee? not
That's the
one-
group
That's the
rate.
register.
That's the group rate.
It's a cover, oh, it's not for our training.
It's the bid.
I thought we were paying, so we don't have to pay for our training this year either?
No, all the mandated training is covered as part of the
It's
dues
still
this year.
covered under-
That actually has changed. It wasn't last year. It is now covered as part of the dues.
But last year we didn't, I was told we didn't pay. When I went for my training last year.
No, you pay the 1,100 as a board,
Right.
and
And
the
then-
training is included.
Then the training.
And just RSC and the Harry Bell Corp.
Yes, press.
Section 3, on page 6, we have a few retirements, an adjustment in salary, an approval of a new employee. If you turn to page 7, we do have an addition, which is a bunch of substitutes, which you'll see is number G on your addendum sheet. This would add to page 7, and these are our bus drivers, bus aides, cafeteria aides, etc. Any questions with section 3? With none, moving to 4, personnel, certified. We have a few retirements, a resignation, an adjustment in salary, a transfer, a few transfers. There is a correction on page 9. It should read, the Board of Education is requested to approve the salary, not the reemployment, the salary of the following administrative personnel. J is the contracted ISIPs that need to be completed. K on page 10, there's an addition to professional days, which is on your addendum, which is Ms. Zeichner, that will be attending a conference. 11 is approval of employment. We're trying to get as many new employees as we can. I just hired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's also 2 more on the addendum. 8, which is Q, which is on your addendum page. We're trying to get as many people. We still have approximately 15 hires, which is pretty good for this time of year. Hopefully,
What was the total?
total that
15
much less than years past. Probably about half of what we normally do. I'd say between 30 and 35, which is it's a good year. So far, keep our fingers crossed because you never know what's going to happen. On page 11, again, these are substitutes. MNO or a substitute list. P is on our addendum sheet, okay, which is a transfer of Mr. Denudo. from the high school to the middle school. And again, Q are 2 new people that we just hired today. Also on the addendum sheet from certified personnel is R, which is a slew of substitutes that are in your addendum from elementary certification on. Any questions with section 4?
Just a question for Jonathan, just to clarify. Am I required to abstain on I then? It's just the salary?
Yes.
Okay. That's,
When in doubt, abstain.
that's an abstention, Mr. Dean.
Okay, number 4, moving to section 5, policy.
Dr. Alfano, if I could, Mr. Mackinon, as part of the requirements, you do have to open up to the public for Ms. Sutherland and my contract is tonight's public hearing on it.
Right, I was going to do that before, I think we got to do it now.
No, I can't.
Yeah, I was going to do that before.
Thank you, Mr. DeAndre. Policy A is the last reading for the attendance policy. So if it takes you to 12, 13, 14, the big one is the Code of Student Conduct. This is approximately 30 or so pages. This is the first reading. Once again, I'll say to the board, the second reading will be, the final reading will be in August. If you have any questions, please. We realize a lot of this is boilerplate, comes strictly by the state. This is per the accountability regs, and as far as New Jersey QSAC monitoring and you name it, we need to do it. So it's a requirement.
For us, is it brand new for us?
We had a code of conduct, but
Nothing near this.
nothing near this. See, so we're killing the old fly with the sledgehammer.
This exceeds the sexual harassment policy in terms of volume of pages in the manual.
Wait till our bullying and harassment policy, that's coming up.
It's obnoxious, but anyway, what is administrative detention? Describe that. The teacher
Administrative
detention?
No, administrative detention is principal, vice principal detention. At the larger schools, it's held in one room. Usually teachers have an after-school assignment to monitor it.
So it's after school detention?
It's school detention,
Correct.
not
But
the teacher.
Administrative. Administrator runs it, or a designated
Now,
teacher.
I know we had these discipline things for different offenses for a while. Is that a panel of administrators to sit down and agree to what offenses or what punishment that? So I was a little disappointed when I spoke to you earlier today. I didn't see a lot of ISSs, which I thought was,
Well, we'll discuss that. The reason is that some schools don't have it.
don't have the.
Don't have in-school suspension, you don't have the facility or the
So it'd be
individual.
applicable to 9 through 12.
So it's,
Correct. It's only the high school and the UES that have in-school suspension.
and we're looking to do it also at the middle school.
Yeah, we used to have.
Yes, the problem is we lost the room, we lost the individual, so what happened was it was difficult for them to run. The high school has the room because they keep the youngsters in an area that it's easily monitored. The same thing at the SUES. There's a room right next to the administrative offices. So it's a little bit different, but we're going to talk to the middle school to try to even out everything so that everything makes a little bit more sense. Mr. McAdon and I spoke about that today. But we're really trying to tighten up the punishment so that one tier of schools doesn't have a more severe, it's sort of tiered down or tiered up depending on how you want to look at it.
I just like
as far as
ISS.
offense.
I just like that.
I do too.
Also, for the board's information, I called Ms. Sutherland today. I had a question regarding the cheating aspect of this, specifically pertaining to plagiarism with the internet and making it so easy to copy things down from the internet. And she indicated that even though it refers to tests, that the penalties for cheating in a plagiaristic fashion would be uniform and applied. So that will be covered under that section.
I have a question. If you look at page, where it starts on page 34, is this our own policy, or is this something you're getting from somewhere else?
No, this is ours.
This is ours.
This is ours.
This is good. Is this something we have now? Are there changes in this section?
It is non-existent at this time.
We do have a form of this, but this is not what we have. It's not this comprehensive.
If you look at this, and, I mean, I didn't look at it, line by line, but for consistency purposes, if you look down where it says, for example, late to class on page 34, and you go down to second incident, and it says 1 day administrative detention and a parent contact. Okay, and then you'll see others like that where it says parent contact. That specifically says any parent contact, but if you go up to the top where it says truancy, first incidents, grades K through 3, 3 days administrative detention, but doesn't say anything about parent contact. One would think you would contact a parent, would you not on other issues? Why only late? Like how does...
A truancy would automatically have to be confirmed by the parent. You can't charge a child with truancy without the parent admitting that he or she had no idea where the child was or
I
had no
guess,
knowledge of the
right, but then
accident.
even if you go to cutting class, there's no parent contact on those. Like why was just late to class here? Like some of them were singled out and others don't have. Like for grammar school, I don't understand, especially in grammar school, why you wouldn't contact a parent for some of these offenses.
These are the current penalties in the schools indicated. Late to class really doesn't apply to K-3. It's there because in case we have a reason for students to be late to class, and because the code requires every incident to have a progression of penalty K through 12. So the penalties are there. I don't know that they'd necessarily be used at an elementary school.
How do you cut elementary?
Let me
Right,
just,
but you have like detention, and if a K through 3 or whatever, a K through 6 student doesn't attend detention, you have no parent contact there.
but
When you
let me
contact
just,
the parent,
let me just backtrack. We do contact the parents, okay, even though it's not, may not be listed, I don't even know why that's listed there.
Right, but I'm just looking for consistency, either we should just list it
I'm agreeing
everywhere
with
we
you.
do it, or not
Or just
list
take it,
it.
I believe it
Right.
should be taken off. Because truancy, you'd be saying that every single time.
Right, if you go on the internet and...
You know, you go, every time you deal with,
policy,
right, every time you deal with
say, well,
suspension.
why didn't you call me
Right.
when you're calling
Well,
for that?
truancy, you have to knock on the door.
Truancy, suspension, in-school suspension, all of them require a parent call. So there's not, or some sort of notification to the parent.
Right, but here it says only second offense. Like first incident, you're not calling, like failure to report to teacher detention. First incident, you're not calling a
That
parent.
may
But
not-
second incident, you are.
You may not. In that instance, you may not. See, like I said, we need to look at this. We just put this down now. This is the first reading. This is what we have now. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and clean it up so that it's more uniform. It's more consistent. Right now, I can tell you there's things that go up and down that I can even say even with the punishment, that sometimes it's not leveled out. And we have to look at it a little bit better. But this is what we have now. We will adjust it, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll send it back out to you. This is probably the sheet, these 6 or 7 pages that you're most interested in, because the other stuff is
Well, if you
boilerplate.
have, email me or call me, and we can run these.
Right, 'cause I'm just looking, if I was a parent of a kindergartner and it said they didn't report to teacher detention, and my kid didn't come home on the bus, I think they're detention and you didn't call me.
Well, that's, you know for a fact that we're calling that parent.
I
That
know,
never happens.
but for second offense, you specifically said it, but for first offense, you don't.
But that's what we have to clean up here. Now that you're looking at from page 34 to these 10 pages,
Yeah.
is
But
something
that's
that we have to look
just a theme
at.
that I saw through here.
Yeah, I think you should take out parent contact and just...
I agree, because it's automatic. You're looking for the
General disclaimer
penalty.
that said all of these...
You're not looking about how we deal with the
Yeah,
issue.
I think that's the best way to do
We can do that.
it. Just have a general disclaimer.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If I'd known that, I would have read it.
I'd be afraid with that code of conduct. That would have been much better in high school. Section 5, any questions? Section 6, curriculum. Special services, these are the different placements, different services.
I have a question. Ms. Duffy, I would have... Hello, good evening.
Ms. Duffy, I got you out of this. I thought you were on vacation.
Yeah, I was going to call you today and ask you this, so I'm not expecting an answer right off the top of your head about this, but just, as the school year approaches, Dr. Fano and I are going to, we're going to tour that new school on Cheesecake Road and meet with the county superintendent sometime next week. And one of the questions I have, when you look at all these placements, I know you have more placed for the beginning of the school year. Some of these are new placed and some may be new placements. But how many of these will we be able to send to that school on Cheesecake Road? For example, what services will be offered there? And can we, what number of these
We've
students?
been doing that. We have been looking at our placements, and we've had a presentation by the Center for Lifelong Learning staff, and
We have had about 7 kids go on intakes for that program, and we are placing 7 kids in that school for next year. In fact, yeah, the numbers are listed there, and we have...
54, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, 54. But I just want to let
Okay,
you know
Center for
that...
Life, that's the Center for Lifelong Learning.
Yes,
Okay, well then,
Yes,
it's
and,
then
yeah.
our phone call would have been very short.
Yes, it would have been, but I just want to say one more thing about that. The collaborative class that we had at Arlitt School, all of those children, that class is going to shift over to the Center for Lifelong Learning. And what they offer, and I can share with you their brochures and all the other information that they've sent over, the services are more intense, and they are children that we have not been able to serve to this point within district. So I think it's going to be a wonderful collaboration, and I can't wait to see the facility because the brochures and what Dr. Solberg, who is going to oversee that, has put out there as being the program is just exceptional.
Well, just the savings on the transportation, going
Yeah,
with things. Now, I know when we meet with the county superintendent, things I'm interested in, that schools in Saybrook, we're Saybrook, I know they have a limited number of students they can probably deal with, and since he thinks very highly of Dr. Alfano and Saybrook, we should be able to, that and using the pool for our athletics, all those kind of things that we need to jump on.
Yeah, we've been dialoguing with them a lot. There's a lot we would like to do with this.
Very good. So I'll let you know how it looks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions with section 6? With none, moving to 7. 7 is all extracurricular, co-curricular. These are dues on different individuals that would be in charge of basketball timer, etc. NJSIAA resolution. Health Point Medical Group in Old Bridge to
I have
be...
a question on that.
just hold on 1 second. Varsity football games, yes.
Why Health Point Medical Group? Why don't we have, why isn't our Sable squad there? I've seen our Sable squad at football games, and if it's a cost associated with that, why wouldn't we pay our local squad versus Old Bridge?
You have to have a doctor.
That's
It's
the
a doctor. You have to have, this isn't, the emergency squad is there beside the doctor, but the doctor's there.
That's the doctor's fee, 175.
Health Point Medical Group is the physician.
So we require a doctor to be
Yes.
at the
Yes,
football game?
I think that's an NJSIA regulation.
Yes, it is. It's been in existence for a long time.
Just at football?
Just,
at varsity football?
I believe it's just varsity
I think it's
football.
just varsity football.
Yeah.
So the NJSA only cares about one varsity
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's the nature of the sport.
Well, we have freshmen, we have JV,
We'll check that. I have my trustee partner right here that will take a turn.
so we require an MD.
Yes, yes. As far as I remember, I coached football for 10 years, and that was 20 years ago, and there was a doctor on. There
Well,
was,
I
there
was
was
just
a
unaware
doctor.
that it needed a doctor. I just thought it was a squad that stood by
And they have to be there as well.
our squad.
Emergency squad.
Right.
F on page 58 is the game schedule, which you can see at www.highschoolsports.net. If you want a hard copy, I can also put one in for you. G are some of the middle school activities, and H is a change of date of the senior prom to June 11, 2010. Any questions with section 7?
Question, the schedule, you said it's on highschoolsports.net.
Yes.
And the schedule changes frequently. I did get a hard copy. Is there any reason why we have to receive a hard copy?
Is there
I
any?
get one every year. I always get a hard copy.
I think we're trying to go as paperless as possible.
Right, so I guess my question is, why did we don't need one?
I'm saying if somebody wants one.
No, we did get one, so I'm saying we don't need it, so don't give it to us.
I'm-
If we don't have to have it.
Okay. You don't need, no problem.
I know sometimes there's legal reasons why we have to get the paper.
Right, right. And it does change, it's very
Yes,
fluid, no matter
by
what. it change-
September,
I guess you
it's
did get it, I didn't
Yes,
get
we
it.
did get it.
I didn't get it, so I've assumed you might not have gotten it. Usually I see it. But that changes a lot, that you know as well as I do, that sheet changes. Any others with section 7? None. Moving to 8. These are our transportation resolutions, ABC, D, Good Works once again. These are the destinations of these trips that will be held. In F is a few other field trips. There is an addition to G. Ms. Jenkins did discuss this. This is our lunch and free and reduced lunch pricing to determine eligibility. And the addendum A is in the back, I believe, of your, or attached somewhere to your packet. That concludes my report.
Any board comment on the agenda before I open up to the public? If not, I first want to open up public first, just if any comments on the salaries of the assistant superintendent and BA were required by new ethics. Contract, yes, that is listed in there. Okay. If not, then I will open it up for any questions on the agenda only. Please, be mindful, I will open up again for any business that may become before the board. So at this time, if you have any comments or questions on the agenda, please come up, state your name and address for the record. If not, I will entertain a board resolution to approve the superintendent's agenda.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Any roll call vote?
Mrs. Becker.
Page 9, letter I. I'll be voting no.
Russ? Well, just let me go to the roll call.
Mr. Bishara.
So noted, page 9, I will be voting no, and all the other no's that I voted on.
Mr. Sires.
Makes sense, right?
Yes, with the abstentions noted on the bill list.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mrs. Esposito.
Page 9, letter R, also be voting no.
Mr. Lembo.
Yes, with the exception of the extension noted. Item I.
Mrs. Stratton.
Yes, with the exception of personnel, P, no, and 9I, no.
Personnel, P.
It's an addendum.
Mrs. Stratton.
Yes.
And Mr. McEnroe.
Yes, with no exceptions.
We just need a second to change.
Yep.
Then we have a big problem.
Yeah, the problem is
Gigantic.
don't fly. How many board members are there? 9 board members, right?
Four, one exception, abstention.
The extension is
Nine
I
ayes.
abstain.
on both,
No, I.
Just 9 ayes.
On page 9, item I.
Page 9, item I, that's their salaries. And there's 4 no's.
Yeah,
There's
four-
only
four
4
votes.
yeses.
That's right.
He only has to abstain
You don't have to
on
abstain with respect to
me,
Ms.
not a
Sutherland,
video.
let me just ask about the organizational chart here for a second. And then you can reconsider your vote, or of course you can still abstain if you wish. Sorry.
So I'm just going to ask about the organizational chart, just to make sure that Pat has his options right here. Ms. Sutherland is the assistant superintendent of schools. Does she supervise your spouse?
Yes.
I can.
You can. So in the chart, ultimately?
Yes.
Okay. So that's correct in abstaining certainly to Ms. Sutherland's contract. With respect to Emilio's, salary, with respect to Emilio's salary,
No, I didn't abstain on it.
He wasn't on the agenda.
he's on I.
He's on us, yes, this is two. He's on the both, the both there. Let's take that one. Yeah, he's not in the direct reporting, he's not certified.
There's no reporting in any way, so you don't have to abstain with respect to,
So you want to change
Then
the
I will not
extension?
abstain on it.
okay, so you want,
I'm only abstaining where I'm required.
I understand, so you want to actually cast a
I asked
vote?
you.
I understand. Okay. So then, those are your options. You can, if you want to recast your vote, you're certainly able to at this
Okay,
time.
Mr. Lemon, you officially want to recast your vote
I will recast the vote, only abstaining on what I am required to abstain on.
on assistant superintendent, not the BA.
Superintendent.
So noted.
But I think that's a problem now, because now it's 4-4-1, which means Ms. Sutherland goes home.
No,
Salary, not appointment. Remember, you changed the word.
Thank you. I feel a lot better now.
Changed the word.
Well, yeah.
But now if she stays, but we can't pay her. What does that mean if we have 4 no votes on the salary? The motion for her salary fails.
Motion to accept, but she's been previously reappointed?
Yes.
At her previous contracted rate.
At the previous contract rate, so that rate would continue.
The old rate,
The old rate would continue.
so the new rate she doesn't get.
The proposed rate that the board did not approve, she would not get.
The most dedicated employee in this district for 35 years, and that's a slap in the face to our assistant superintendent. That's a shame.
I'm just gonna say, so everyone in the district gets a raise except the Sutherland.
That's a shame. Are you not saying anything?
And
It's fine,
is there a way that anybody can change their mind on that? Or is that what it is?
Well, the board always has an opportunity to rescind something that's been done, but that's going to have to be up to one of the members that did that. And if that doesn't happen, then I just think we have a professional obligation to call the individual and explain the rationale for the vote. Anybody want to revisit that vote?
Unbelievable.
Let's press on. Background information and discussion. We have nothing listed. Mr. Clark, the delegate to the New Jersey School Board Association.
I wasn't so mad enough just for capital. We're once again honored in Middlesex County, 26th School District recognized Mr. Sayak's outstanding leadership, and he's now elected president of the Middlesex County School Board for the 2nd time, so I want to personally congratulate him. And that's really good for our district because the county school boards is front line from things that come down from the state, so we have a strong voice, an advocate for children, and an advocate for school boards, and it really helps serve all lives. So congratulations to society. That's it.
Okay, have a couple of topics under discussion. First is the solar energy proposal. Everybody in their package received some information about solar power. Mr. DeAndre, do you have any further information?
Nothing at this point. I guess I'm just more or less looking for direction from the board. Is this something that the board wishes for me to continue to pursue? And is there an interest in it?
Ms. Lundell?
Absolutely, there's an interest in solar energy, but under this plan where we don't own the system, I'd like to weigh the pros and cons of us owning the system ourselves and see which is of greater long-term benefit to the taxpayers.
I think if you're looking for something of that nature, what you would have to probably do is get a consultant, someone who specializes in this area, to give you the pros and cons between a lease purchase or a leasing option versus an outright purchase with some grants or funding that may be out there. What I can do is see, I'll start with our architects and see if they do any actual analysis or consultation on that.
I think it would be good for people to reach out to the CMEs. I know Mr. Dave Samuels had spoken to us about this, you can recall a while back, about this. I don't know if it's this particular company, but he was really pushing this as a good deal. And the question I had for him, and I asked earlier today, the infrastructure of this is $11 million, and there's no capital outlay from us, but we have a 15-year lease agreement. The first question I have is does our roof have the capacity for this type of system?
Yes, they've already explored that. They've actually have taken,
BSC has?
yes, they have. They've actually investigated through satellite video our roofs and how they work. And that's how they already know the Truman roof needs to be replaced in order to have solar plates put up there.
Do we know of any other school? I want to say Tom's River.
Mr. Pagliano and I had a conversation. I believe he has a colleague of his in Nutley, I believe in Essex County, who has done this, who had an analysis done, and their recommendation was to move forward with this company to do it. I can confirm that with Mr. Pagliano.
And more funding consensual.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Yes.
Dana.
Just recently, Tom's River, who generated, Tom's River has a solar system on their high school.
They do.
And they generated $1.5 million profit into the district by just themselves. And Land had proposed last year with capital improvements, I think it was around 1.5 million they proposed a solar panel system, but the direction that we took was that we couldn't afford the capital outlay, even though the state would reimburse us 40% of the total cost.
You need to raise it and put it in your capital outlay in order to purchase your solar system. That's why this is an alternative to raising your own capital.
Well, my opinion is that I think that in the long run, it would be better for the district if we went and put our own system in and reap the profit instead of sharing something with someone else and getting a small piece of the action.
If that's the initiative of the board, you need to start raising that in your budgets to move forward in that direction.
But what is the purchasing, what are we purchasing from them?
We're in essence buying the energy.
Solar system.
We're not purchasing the energy's coming.
No, you purchase the panels.
You're purchasing the infrastructure from on a lease basis.
On the lease, you don't purchase it. They lease it to you. It's their equipment. They install it. They own it. You pay them for a certain volume of electricity. They charge you a reduced rate, which is cheaper than what you're paying in your current electric company.
So whoever's providing electricity now, we are going to switch over to this company that provided us the solar for the remaining of the
Well,
solar.
you always still need your current capital.
Right, but the solar is not going to produce the whole energy capacity for this building. So we're going to purchase the power distribution from them versus JCP&L will be purchasing.
Right. You reduce one and do the other, but the cost is a much lesser.
So did they do an analysis of the building, the square footage, and what the benefit of us is going to be?
Yes, that's what the proposal was given to me.
Yeah, but
The bottom line and everything.
Yeah, but do we know of any other district that's done this?
As I said, Dennis, Mr. Pantaleano has indicated to me, a colleague of his up in, I believe he said Nutley. I know it was Essex County, that much I do know, remember. Said they had an independent consultant come in, and the independent consultant recommended it to the board. I can follow up with that.
Yeah, I think we need to.
And
We need to weigh our options.
North London?
Yeah, North London Central, I'm almost positive they also have it. In fact, that was recommended to me from their president. What? Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I mean, I just need to, it's very time consuming, it's gonna take up a lot of my time and Mr. Pantaleano.
Well, what's the board's feelings? Should we pursue this further?
Is it only the schools in here listed, or are these just examples?
I think that's
Just as like, is that?
Those are the buildings they feel they can do without.
Okay, so
And
these-
we've also asked them to look at the Wilson School now also.
There's no opportunity, like, and I hate to bring this up, but we did Noresco a few years ago where we paid for the cost of the equipment through the energy savings over a period of time. Is there an opportunity to finance an arrangement such as that with this?
I could talk to them about that, but this company's more into the straight leasing, from what I recall.
Because that, I mean, if we can find a reputable company, I know we had some issues with Noresco, with the mold boom at Truman, but if we can find a reputable company, that might be a way to do this without any type of taxpayer impact.
Well, it's always.
Well, there's no taxpayer impact.
Right.
This way, there's no taxpayer impact. The way you're referring to, there is a taxpayer impact. The rest of you're paying back.
When would
We
be
are paying for the savings though.
Yeah, but we can get bigger savings.
Yeah.
What happens over a period of time when the solar panels go bad?
They own it, they replace it.
What happens at the end of the lease? Do we own it?
No.
You can renew for
You
another
have
10
the
years.
option to renew it.
And it says for 10 years. It's a
And if
10
you
year.
don't renew, what happens?
They take their equipment.
Now we got holes in the roof.
That's city, you patch a roof.
Option to renew for 10 years, so you're looking at a 25-year. I would definitely reach out to CME, and I will give Mr. Sanders a call, and if this is the company he's recommending, to me that weighs heavily on the recommendation. She was talking about this a while back, as a good benefit, so. So let's, I think we should press on with that analysis for Mr. Pantaleano.
I'll try to get further information.
Any other comment?
I'm just concerned about somebody drilling holes in our roof and all of a sudden doing like what they're doing with us, saying, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, no, I can't tell you, part of what they do is they get the warranties on your roofs when they do all the work. They have them done by.
in my 25 years of school, I've seen some out-of-site warranties. Once they're out-of-site, warranties up.
Could disagree with you.
You talked about some significant savings.
So roofs, yeah.
I think it merits more,
No problem.
more research. Okay. Next item, additional board meeting dates. Dr. Alfano, you provided a list of dates.
The only change that I would make is if the board wants, rather than doing 9/29, doing 10/6. For some reason or other, I dumped 3. I have 9/1, 9/15 is our regular meeting. Then for some reason or other, I put 9/29. It could be either 9/29 or 10/6. So you'd have 2 in October, 10/6, 10/20.
These are all Tuesdays.
These are all Tuesdays.
Mrs. Stratton, you have an issue with Tuesdays?
Yes.
Anybody else have an issue with Tuesdays?
Just the first and second Tuesday.
Just the first and second Tuesday.
Right, so we wouldn't have a
So that
meeting
would cover
on the
one of those
third
meetings.
and
Well, we'll
fourth.
cover one of those meetings. We would have one meeting on either the first and second Tuesday. I imagine you'd have first and third, or second and fourth. We wouldn't have first and second.
Well, the way this is now, the 9/29 would not, yeah.
You have
The first?
third?
Well, the first is, most of them are the first.
So the first and third would work for you? The first and third would work for you?
Okay. Anybody else have a conflict with the first and third Tuesdays of the month?
No, but I did have a question. I had a question on the time. So you wanted to change the time of the meeting.
You want to make it earlier the first meeting, I thought.
No, I wanted to keep the times the same.
What times did you envision? Meeting start times?
Well, this is a little bit different because the way we run it now, we run our closed session at 5:30. I brought it out to the board that you could start your open part at 6, which would be sort of like your open meeting where you discuss, and then obviously by 7:30, you can then, vote on the consent agenda or whatever we have on the agenda. So you'd still start at 6 like we normally do, but we'd start with the open. If we have to go into closed, we go into closed. But we would do that afterwards.
But we wouldn't have to go into close on both?
The meeting would not start until 6 o'clock. We could bring food in at 5:30 so that everybody could eat, but that would not start the meeting. The meeting would not start till 6. The reason that I spoke about 9/1 is because of, and I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone, is because we're going to do self-evaluation. That has nothing to do with me. You don't want to do a self-evaluation, that's fine. But the self-evaluation, according to Gwen Thornton, who's, I would think that's going to come in, she said she's available that day. I assume that that's going to take a little bit of time. Kevin, you know more about it than I do. It's up to you guys. You want to pick a time, pick a time. I just think that 6 o'clock, you're still running the same meeting, but you're starting your open session at 6.
Well, wait. I was especially concerned that I'm good with the 2 meetings a month throughout the school year, but the August and July meetings, not to have 2 meetings a month in July and August, until after school starts.
Well, I tend to agree with you, but since we've already had 3 in July, that was the problem. We had, but that was not.
That was not in our control.
That was out of my control.
No, I mean, I'm talking about regular scheduled meetings. I don't think that we should have regular scheduled meetings, 2 of them per month in July and August, not until after.
That's fine. The reason I only went up to April is that's when you reorg. And then you could determine that, Jill, when the new board comes in, you could pick whatever meeting dates you want. Certainly you have the option to pick whatever dates you want. This may work the way it is now for Maria without messing around with the second date. It's up to you. I just threw these in because I felt a lot of times we have budget meetings. These kind of fall in perfectly. You also have, remember, November, December is very chopped up. In January, you're going into, after the break. So subsequently, I just felt that this might be the best way, if not.
Is there a consistency in these, like it's like the first and third Tuesday or second, or is it just, you just picked it off how we, the calendar?
Yeah, I mean, if you do the first and third or.
Well, it's hard, like.
You can't do the first and the third every month because then it would, unfortunately, what starts to happen is in some of the months, for example, you can't because of November. Let me take November. There's election day that day. So, in December, you can't either because December I basically do it. I mean, you could go but the thing is, you're going, what I'm saying, it's very early. So I'm doing the first and the third.
You are doing 1 and 3?
I'm doing the first and the third in September. Now, for some reason or other, we could move it. Like I said, the 29th is really the only anomaly. If you want to move it to the 6th, that's fine, I don't know, don't ask me why I did that, I just did, I don't
That's
know
fine.
why I did that. So if you want to leave it there, that's fine. October's all, you know, we had just explained, forget about November, you can't do 2 in November because you just have too many days chopped up. You have the 1st and the 3rd in December. January, you're just coming back from a break. It's not a good idea to have another meeting there. So I dumped it into February 1st and 3rd week. And then same thing in March is 1st and 3rd. And then if you even wanted one, which is the budget meeting, which would be the last one of the, we usually have a meeting in there anyway for the public hearing or whatever it is. I mean, that date may float.
You need
But
to have that float based on the state calendar.
you have to, yeah, you have to float that. So it may not be March 30th, it may be the 28th, it may be the 29th, it may be, but that's where your public hearing is for the, so basically, it's what we've been doing all along. Nothing has changed.
So stick to the 1st and 3rd for every month that you can, and in those months that it doesn't work out, we'll have to work around it.
Can we just do the 1st and the 3rd and skip January and November? And only have one?
Yeah,
Those 2
that's
months
fine.
then?
Whatever you want to do. If you, let's just go right down. 9/1 is okay for everybody?
Wait, no, because I'm still suggesting that we don't start until school starts, which is after.
So you want to just start at 9:15?
Because
If you can't make it, you know,
No,
we have 9 board members.
school's not in session, so I just
So
thought
that-
that's when most of the activities are going on with the board, is when school's in session.
Yeah, but with this year, I think we're gonna have to meet with all the construction and everything,
Construction, staff hiring,
staff hiring,
and
everything.
also the stuff.
I'll be honest with you, Jill.
Fine.
We're probably going to need that 9/1. I don't really want it either, but it is what it is. 9:15 is a regular meeting. You want to move the 9:23 to 10:06, it's fine with me, or leave it with a 9:20.
Stick to the 1st and 3rd. And
So you want to go 10:06 then? Okay. So we'll make that 10:06.
Well, Dr. Alfano, we'll have to get this board approved because I have to advertise.
I'm just saying, for now, we can always do that at the 23rd meeting. 10:20 would be our regular meeting. 11/17, no meeting in November, only one meeting in November, which would be 11/17. Then in December would be the 1st and the 3rd, 12/1, 12/15. January, there would only be one, which is 1/19. This is all in your packet that I sent out. 2/2, which would be February 2nd, and February 16th is our regular meeting. March 2nd and March 16th. And then we always have a meeting at the end of March, which would be the 3rd.
Then you're right for the vote.
No matter what. So we'll just, for the sake of argument, we'll just leave it.
Okay, is that good with everybody? We'll put this to
But don't we always have 2 in April, one before the election and one after?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That could be, that's flexible.
That'll be the exception.
If it's the 13th.
Yeah, you're going to have to put that one in according to
The state guidelines.
where the state guidelines are. So I have no
Right,
idea
but
what
is
it is.
the April 13th the before the election meeting, or is that the after? So if you have April 13th.
That's before.
That's the before?
April
That's
13th.
before the reorg meeting.
No,
Yeah.
that's also before the election.
Yeah, that's before the election as well. I believe the election is the 20th.
So then we should not put in a March 30th, we should just leave it out.
I would leave the March 30th out, and then we're going to probably have to figure out what day.
You're going to need budget meetings anyway in March, so that's all going to be.
All right, so we'll take it out and put a special meeting in there, so we'll just put the 3/2 and 3/16, so just keep it simple.
6 o'clock time, is the 6 o'clock start fine?
Well, it doesn't matter to me what time we start our meeting, I think the public meeting should be at 7:30, they should
Well, no,
be consistent.
the new meetings are being scheduled to start at 6 o'clock with the public.
Public meeting like that.
Why?
That was my objection.
That's what's listed. That's right.
Why? Is what I'm asking. What's
Because I'm saying, we start our meetings at, basically at 5:30. I mean, if you want to start at 7:30, they're going to just run late.
Well,
He's talking about having a,
More of a discussion in the beginning of the meeting like we normally want to do, and then, which would be like your agenda meeting.
Yeah. Well, why can't we do like 6 to 7? Like
That's what I'm saying, and then you could, well, you don't necessarily have to close, you could still leave it open. I'm saying that would be what you guys want to do. You want to have an agenda meeting.
And I prefer to do the closed session afterwards.
Right.
Because there's this perception out there that we discuss the entire agenda in closed, which we do not, but at least if we're all coming in cold, it alleviates anyone saying that we are. So we can do that at the end.
that's fine, because not every meeting will have to go into close if it's
Right.
not warranted.
You may not. I mean, if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't.
Compromise and start at 7? Because also, the 2 meetings a month, the meetings may run shorter, because you're meeting now
Right.
twice a month.
I thought if we change that meeting to 7, I think we should have both meetings at 7. I just think they should be consistent.
Oh, I agree with that, yes.
I think that if we're gonna move the meeting to public at 7, then both meetings must be at 7.
6 pushes me, to get here in on time. 5:30 is a challenge, but, 6 is, what was the rationale to start them earlier? That's what I'm asking. If we already have our meetings now, I guess it's...
Well, because we discuss things for an hour and a half in closed, subsequently you're going to go to 11 o'clock at night, so just be prepared for that.
Right, but if we have 2 a month, we shouldn't need as much time.
That's not going to happen with the sport. It's not going to happen. You're going to want to discuss stuff. It's not really fair. You're going to get tired. It's going to be forced into it. I will guarantee you, if we start at 7:30, we're going to be here till 11.
Then
So just be prepared.
How
for
about
that.
we start at 6:30?
I personally don't care when we start, but I'm telling you, I know darn to a bag of donuts.
Okay.
We're going to be talking for at least 3 hours.
Counselor, you sit on several boards. How do other boards do it?
There's, and I don't know how this board intends to do this, but,
No, we don't either.
apparently not. A lot of boards, most of the boards that we serve as council for do a sort of a caucus meeting first, an agenda session, if you will, and then have a follow-up action meeting. Generally speaking, the caucus meeting is a longer meeting than the action meeting because the caucus meeting involves all the discussion, and then the action meeting is, unless there's something specific that hasn't been raised since the last meeting, approve items 1 through 20, 21 through 40, that kind of thing. It can be very simple and straightforward. Again, it's just an action meeting. One of our boards, for example, had an action meeting last night that was an hour long versus the caucus meeting that was 3 hours long. So that's sort of what
You could call it
the model is.
you can call it a caucus meeting from 6 to 7:30 and open up your regular meeting at 7:30. I mean, you're basically doing the same thing, but it's all open. If you have to go into closed, you go into closed. I mean, you're basically not doing anything different than you are now. You just flip-flop.
You won't spread them, Jonathan, do they spread them out 2 weeks apart, the caucus and their agenda meeting?
Yeah, one of the boards I'm thinking of does a 1 week apart, another one does 5 days apart,
Yeah, 2 weeks.
and another one does do 2 weeks apart. But here's the thing: if you have a caucus meeting, just because, for example, you change the way that you do things, doesn't mean that every caucus meeting there can be no vote. I mean, you can, for example, if something comes up for a caucus meeting, you can have a vote. It's just a general matter of procedure that it's a caucus meeting, and often votes are not taken. But it's still a meeting of the board, so you can do whatever you need to do if action is necessary.
I think it looks...
See, but personally, if we I don't think a caucus is going to work for us, because we're going to sit,
Right.
we're going to caucus on all the items on the agenda,
Right.
and we're going to talk, and then come the following 2 weeks later when we have the meeting, people are going to vote no, and stuff's going to be defeated, and there's going to be no comments made, and we're going to have no polite.
That's why I'm saying start at 6.
So I mean, I have no problem having 2 meetings a month, but I think that we have to discuss, and we have to vote, and move on.
Right. I agree with Kevin, and I also say we should, I disagree that I think that we should start with the closed like we do now, and even start at 6 o'clock, and that's fine, and keep it at 7:30 for the public because that's what they're used to.
However you want to do it, it's fine. Just just tell us what you want to do. We could do it exactly the way we're doing it now. I just flip-flopped it. That's all I did. And it's because I had a conversation a little bit with Kevin and Mike about, the perception that we go and close right away. I mean, I'm just flip-flopping. It's up to you. It doesn't
Let's
matter.
see if someone seconds this. I would make a motion
Well-
to approve your meeting schedule beginning at 6:30 with the public session, concluding with the executive session at the end. Anyone want to second that?
Well, if I understood that.
What did you just say?
Approve your meeting schedule that you propose, the dates.
Right.
Public start at 6:30,
Okay.
agenda, voting session, and we conclude with executive session at the end,
If needed.
if needed.
Well, it won't be needed.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes not.
Kevin, can we leave this as direction so we can make sure we have all the dates and times?
Yeah, let's not approve this tonight. Let me send this out again. This way we're all on the same page.
Same page.
Because there's no rush.
But I don't think you have any clear direction from the board, that's what I'm trying to get to.
The only meeting we have to approve, the only meeting we have to approve is September 1st. Because maybe that's the only meeting, this way you give us direction for that. and that gives us some other time then, because the next new one isn't until the 29th, which gives us 2 months. So I think why don't we just do the September 1st?
No, wait, you said it was October 6th, not the 29th.
Or October 6th, I'm sorry, October 6th. October
We
6th.
have plenty of time in August
We
to get
don't.
this.
We don't, we only have
I
one
have
meeting.
to- I have to go to press with our schools, and it has your meeting schedule on the first page.
The board does not have to formally approve the meeting dates. It can be, board direction can be given to Emilio, Frank, Carlo, whatever, to, put a schedule out or put, a adequate notice. You don't have to actually formally vote on it.
I think it's better